Hi, my name is Seldon Tenzing. I'm an entrepreneur in the field of travel, a life and a business coach, a speaker and an author in making. Welcome again to my YouTube channel. The topic for today is very interesting and I'm sure many of you can relate to it. Today I'm going to talk about a particular fear called the fear of failure. Do you relate to this? Do you feel it as well? I'm going to dive deep into this today. Before I do that, I want to let you know, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and also join me in my VIP Facebook group called the Entreprenuer-Ology Hub. The link will be given in the description. So shall we deep dive in? Alright, so what is a fear of failure? I think we've heard this term a lot of time, but I want to decipher this particular concept into different categories. The first thing we're going to address is the definition. What is the fear of failure? The second thing that we're going to address is where does it come from? The third thing that we're going to address is what are the consequences of this fear? The fourth thing that we're going to understand is, does fear of failure motivate you or demotivates you? And the final thing that we're going to address is, how can you overcome this fear of failure? If you find this topic interesting, hang on with me till the end of this video. Alright, so let's deep dive in. What is a fear of failure? Fear of failure is a particular feeling wherein if you feel that you don't succeed in whatever you're trying to pursue, you're probably going to lose everything. It's that negative feeling wherein your emotions get heightened and you go into that negative spiral zone. I don't know, I'm sure you can relate to this as well. You probably can even get anxiety every time you think about this fear or think about failing, right? You can also have a sense wherein you have a feeling wherein you feel that your reputation might get spoiled or destroyed, and it can even lead to a circumstance where you might even lose money. So there's a feeling of extreme uncertainty around you, right? So now, before we go forward, I really want you to understand what are the root causes behind this fear of failure, because fear of failure is again a symptom behind an actual disease. So we've got to identify what is the source, where is it really coming from. So the primary reason why this fear of failure is coming from is your childhood conditioning. Check for yourself. Did you have, let's say, parents who are overprotective? Don't do this, you will get hurt. Don't touch this, you will get hurt. They're always trying to protect you from different different corners, right? So if you maybe you had an overprotective parent, or maybe you might have had parents that reprimanded the child on every little mistake and made a big issue out of it. And unfortunately, that has been one of my situations growing up, and I grew up with a massive fear of failure. So trust me, if you've been there, I know exactly how that feels. Or did your parents also appreciate or reward you at the times only when you did something good, whether it's like getting good marks or recognition or designation or any kind of accolades that might have, you might need to achieve in order to get some sort of form of validation and appreciation. So that could be one of the reasons where this fear of failure is coming from. Next, it can also come if you have had a childhood where you had limited sources of income as well as safety at times. So maybe you were living in a house where your parents were always fighting about maybe losing money, or there was chaos all around. So you can also develop this kind of fear inside. So we've got to understand that there is a reason why these fears exist. And the primary reason why any of the fears exist in a life is because there is a certain need that is trying to fulfill. And in this case, in this fear of failure, I feel this particular need that this fear is trying to fulfill is a need for security and safety. Our brains are designed to keep you safe. Our brains are designed to keep you out of any kind of difficulty or challenges, or or risk, etc. So our brain is designed to be very risk averse, and it loves to be in the safe zone, in the comfort zone, and that's why we create all these fears. These kind of fears actually pop up in our head because this is your brain's way of telling you, of cautioning you, of protecting you. So you've got to understand what fear of failure is and what are the root causes of it, where it is really coming from, so that we can move forward with it. Now let's understand what are the consequences of this fear of failure. What is the impact that it has in your life? So there are numerous impacts that it can have life. I think I have realized that the first thing that it does, it stops you from exploring new ideas and avenues. You might be a person who's very creative, you might be a person who has a lot of business ideas, but you're just so afraid to pursue that at times, just because you're afraid that what if you don't succeed, what if you don't make the money, what will the other person say? So it basically, this fear will really restrict you and stop you from new ideas and avenues. Secondly, what it can do is it can also stop you from exploring your true potential, your true talents. And let me give you my own personal example. Like I decided to be a professional dancer at the age of 25, and that's the age where mostly dancers, you don't decide to be a professional dancer. I had a full-time corporate job, plus I decided to get into professional dancing. And the reason why I started so late is because I was always underconfident about my own ability, and I was like, what if I can't do it? What if I fail? What are my parents gonna say? So I was always in that limitation, that inhibition, never really thought that I had the capability of doing so. So it took me many years to actually, realize my own potential as well. So it can stop you from exploring your potential. Third thing is, it forces you to stay within this conventional norms and standards of the society. Now, what does this mean? Now, it's a very common human behavior that we tend to look around and we tend to see what the other person is doing and try to compare ourselves with the other person. For example, this could be if you're in a job and you're earning, let's say, 50,000 a month, and your next door neighbor or one of your closest friend is also earning the same amount of money. High chances that you're going to feel good about yourself. You're going to feel like, yeah, okay, I'm doing well, I'm successful. That becomes a benchmark of your success. So basically, it forces you to stay within the convention, and then you wouldn't try to come out of this box, and then and you get into that comfort zone, and you don't want to take that risk, lose that risk appetite. You get into the comfort zone, and comfort zone is the biggest killer for growth. So that is that's a consequence of this fear of failure. You also lose the grip of the reality. I mean, check with yourself. Has it happened that many times that you feel like this is the worst, this is the end that has happened? You think so much negative of a particular situation, and then you realize that when it gets over, you realize, hey, it was not so bad. So you basically lose a grip on the reality, and you make the situation way more worse than it actually might be. That is one impact of fear of failure. And last but not the least, it suppresses dreams and wishes that can lead to you, in the long run, it can lead you to an unfulfilled life. It can lead you to an unfulfilled career. So I hope so far this video is giving you a lot of information about fear of failure, because I really wanted to decipher and I wanted to break it down into tiniest levels so that it can help you get that self-awareness inside you. Now, I have a very interesting question that somebody asked me some time back, saying this: can fear of failure also motivate you? There are times that a lot of people, just because they're so afraid to fail, they tend to work so hard, and they tend to prove, and they actually accomplish. And then when they look back and they say, oh my God, thankfully the fear, because I had that fear, I was able to accomplish certain things. And the answer to that is yes, but to a certain extent. And I think I'm a perfect example of this, because I grew up with so much of fear of failure. I became an overachiever. Okay, I had to excel throughout my school days, I had to excel in everything, whether it's academics, whether it's sports, whether it's other extracurriculars. I had to excel in everything, and which I did as well. Then the corporate job, I was doing really well in my corporate job, had the best of clients, everything, like everything was going for me. So I became an overachiever just because I wanted that validation from my parents. I was so afraid to fail, and I was always conscious about what the other person will think. So it did take me to a certain extent. I did receive a lot of appreciation and had a sense of achievement, but it was only to a certain extent. There came a point where I actually became a workaholic. There came a point where I became a perfectionist. And there came a point wherein I was always running, looking for new achievements with no satisfaction, no fulfillment, ultimately leading to a burnout. So this was my experience with fear of failure. It did motivate me to a certain extent, but ultimately it burns you out in the long run, because you're also constantly looking for validation, your external validation. You're very image oriented, you want to look the best, you end up losing your true self. You forget who are you as a person, what do you like, what do you dislike. You end up just chasing the external image of what looks good in front of other people, and that can in the long run become so exhausting, so tiring, and I think I reached that level as well. So fear of failure overall is not a good thing to have. And that's my little cat here, and he wants to be in the video, so I will let him. Okay, now the final thing which I'm sure you guys will be interested is how to overcome this fear. What is it that you can do to become, I wouldn't say fearless, because there's nothing called fearless, but what is it that you can do to face that fear and move past it so that you can have your dream life, you can have your best life. All right, so here are the 5 steps that I want to share with you. Please make notes. If you haven't, get your pen and paper and make notes, right? So the first step that you need to do is get self-aware. Okay, get self-aware. Check, understand where the source is coming from. Where is this fear of failure coming from? Get self-aware about that. Recognize the source, because till the time you cannot pinpoint where it is coming from, you wouldn't have the clarity on what you need to do next. Okay, step number 2, question the source and do a reality check. Question the source. Ask these kind of questions. Ask the question that whatever I have been taught till now, whatever I have been conditioned with, is it really a fact? Is it really a fact? Like whenever I got bad grades in my school, lower grades in my school, I was made to feel that it's the end of the world. But today, now, when I actually realize, I feel that that was not true. It's not the end of the world, but I was made to feel that. So I had to question a lot of these beliefs that I had, and so you have to understand, what are your beliefs? What are you thinking about? Or what are you thinking about failure? What is a picture in your head that you think about failure? And evaluate if it is true, really. Evaluate if the worst case scenario is really the worst case scenario that you're thinking of. So it's super crucial to understand that. Your third step is, I need you to look for evidences. What kind of evidence? The evidences where you thought that you had a failure. Okay, where you thought that, oh no, this is the worst case, I have failed, but you managed to cross it. And when you manage to cross it, you realize, hey, you know what, it wasn't so bad, right? So that is an evidence that failure is sometimes not bad, and there's a reason why we might fail. There's a learning behind it. So get into find those evidences from your own life. Fourth step, accept this fear and don't fight with it. A lot of people, when you get the anxiety, when you get the fear, you're always trying to fight it. You're trying to do things that will make it go away and things like that. But it does not go away. Understand that this fear that comes in your head is natural. It's your brain's way to protect you. And if you try to just try to shoo it away. The more you try to shoo it away, the more it is going to come and haunt you. And the fifth point that I want you to do is you've got to start changing the perceptions by changing the stories that you tell about the whole fear. What is it? What is check on you? What is the story that you're telling about those fears? Is it really the end of the world? Is it that will it destroy your reputation? Instead of that, start telling yourself that failure is a pillar to success. Tell yourself that because of this failure, I have had the opportunity to learn and experience so many things that I never thought I would have done it. And this has been absolutely true for me. Like, there's so many experiences that I've had wherein I felt like, oh my God, what have I done? I have failed. I felt dejected. But as the moment passed, I realized, oh my God, the person that I have become today is because of the failures that I went through. Because there were such golden nuggets hidden in it. And today, because of those golden nuggets, I've got a lot more wiser, a lot more experienced, and I'm sitting in front of you talking about all these experiences, right? I hope this video was of value to you, and I hope you will be able to take away some important nuggets from here and apply it in your own life, because fear of failure is something that will restrict you, constrain you into becoming a better version. And I want each one of you watching this video to have your best life, because guys, we only have one life, so let's make the best use of it. Alright, so I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.